and evil, ancient and powerful, has returned.
Are you okay?
Be very afraid.
Rings of Power marketing is well and truly kicked off with a new trailer.
No! They must be destroyed.
And lots of interviews, all from San Diego Comic-Con 2024.
There's rings.
There's rings in this? Are there rings? Yes, there's rings. We know this.
And surprisingly, maybe they've learned a lesson from Season 1, because you remember the Season 1 marketing. When the showrunners weren't calling the fans patently evil and massive bigots, well, we had all the cast bragging about what category boxes they ticked.
My colour representation.
There are not many women in it.
I, as an activist,
we are both activists.
This represents progression. To be part of a redress of balance is an honour.
That's been surprisingly absent from the interviews. Well, with some exceptions.
So many of us in the LGBT community see ourselves in Tolkien's writings. Any chance we'll see ourselves on the show?
Maybe you have already.
We do get to find out the various different marketing strategies that have replaced the bigotry of the first one.
This represents an acknowledgement of where we have been and a will to get to where we need to be.
A lot of us are firsts.
The first is obviously, by the way, Sauron is manager Kinto.
And he's here, and he's not bad looking. Charlie Vickers. We always knew he had something.
Yes, we saw it work for the Acolyte, and now we're trying it as well.
One of the fan favorite romances was between Hot Sauron and Galadriel.
This is the rise of the thirst trap villain, and as such, obviously, you're going to see Sauron and Galadriel get it on.
For all the fan fiction writers in the room,
I think there is hope. What can we say?
Say it.
Yeah, I think we will.
This season, Galadriel's being driven more by a bigger purpose.
fan fiction writers.
I mean, it won't make any sense because she does understand that he is Satan.
don't trust handsome northern men, I'd say.
Bigger throbbing purpose.
And in fact, it seems like Sauron is particularly flexible in where he prefers to lean in this regard.
He is no man.
That'll come in particularly handy when he starts to engage in activities with Celebrimbor.
The story of Sauron and Celebrimbor, because it's pure canon, and people like that.
Yes, rather than pitching about how we're going to destroy canon, in this season, we're very much laying down the groundwork for this is totally accurate, we promise. Everything in this series happened, including the relationship between Sauron and Celebrimbor.
Well, I basically let him move in to my house. Yeah. And it sort of goes from there.
Oh, they're like an old married couple already, aren't they?
Gaslighting, manipulating, and deceiving Celebrimbor, the Elven Smith.
And they want you to know that this series, it's not as boring as the previous series. You know, we all know you fell asleep. That's why only 37% of the audience actually finished it. But that had to happen, you see, because the first series, that was just set up. We had to get all the characters aligned. Second series, though, that's going to kick off. That's where we could really begin the story. And the actors tell you this.
First season, there's a lot of world building.
Again.
First season was, there's a lot of characters.
And again.
Season 1 was mostly world building.
And again.
First season, introducing a lot of world building.
In fact, just like the showrunners said.
We try to show, not tell.
Maybe I should do the same.
First season was, there's a lot of characters. First season, there's a lot of world building.
Season 1 was mostly world building.
Season 1, really, we kind of had to establish the story.
First season, introducing a lot of world building.
I think season 1 was just very much expositional.
A lot of the first season was world building.
We got to place them where they, so we know where they're from, who they are.
Set the table, as we always say.
We were getting to know the characters and getting to know the relationships.
Introductory.
We don't know any of these characters, really. So now we can begin. This season starts with a bang.
We can really, get into it.
The story is really moving on.
Well, we're in a higher gear.
Kind of high energy from the top.
It's a sense of real urgency and excitement.
Season 2 is, action paid.
There's so much happening for everyone. Season 2, we get to feast.
Second season, gloves come off, we hit the ground running.
Straight out of the gates.
Kind of getting thrown into the story is always good.
Just get right on into the story. It moves, it goes. There's a lot to see. There's a lot to come.
And the show just hits the ground running. This is what they're waiting for.
Exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Now, I think in the midway of any good story, you need a bit of comic relief. Rings of Power definitely gives us that character.
I mean, I'm not actually working with real life moving trees. It was just a pole with a light on it.
This guy is the comedic gift that keeps on giving.
The Ents, they are so sick. Yeah, I mean, dude.
And the reason why Zoomers just shouldn't be allowed near Tolkien.
Don't you just weird? Do you know what I mean? Like, they're so sick. Like,
I have never actually seen somebody that genuinely talks like this.
They look epic, but we were just looking at a pole with an LED.
It's like he's auditioning for the skibbity toilet Michael Bay movie.
Picture in our head how sick it looks.
Or has been raised entirely on Surfer Bro compilation videos.
And see how dope that they actually are. Yeah, we love the ends.
And while we're on the subject, I have absolutely no idea what's going on in the middle of this picture. Is he wearing a skirt? I honestly can't tell. Not off to the best start there, and of course, the man himself is back again.
We are both activists.
When people were pointing out that his character is physically impossible to exist and doesn't make any sense within the story, being born at a time before the sun existed, not really necessary for God to have invented melanin yet. That didn't stop Arendir getting involved. He explained how he loved pinching a nerve with the audience. Me being the first elf that broke canon, I loved pinching that nerve. I really do. You see, it was all about me. It was all the attention. It made me feel special because I've got nothing else in my life that I've achieved. I was born this way, and that's my greatest accomplishment. I was so excited to create something new, therefore admitting that he broke canon. Destroying Tolkien's work meant a lot to me. That's why a lot of people were speaking on behalf of Tolkien. You literally said you created something new. Are you under the impression that he was a fan of that? I don't know if they understand the spirit of Tolkien, so now who's talking for him? His work speaks of the times, yes, the times of England, which kept very good records of those times. And it is funny that immediately afterwards they bring up Nazanin Benaidi.
We are both activists.
But she was Bronwyn, who literally left the show to become an activist. Although he might just be a little bit sore from when he had to give this answer, which seems to suggest he won't be in the series that much. After they ask him, so what are you looking forward to most in the show? He comes back about, yeah, well, you know, your favorite characters may not be in this season very much.
Every show needs to park themselves in certain characters per season.
You know, the characters that you really want to see may not be in it as much, but
it's so rich. Like, every moment is rich. It is important.
Yeah.
You don't need to be in every scene.
The moments that they are in it, they're still very rich. They're still very wholesome. They still mean a lot, even though they don't get to do much work this season.
To feel that moment still like reverberating. I myself, I'm extremely excited about Sauron.
Let me bring up those check boxes again, see if they'll put me in season 3. They will need me if they want to get any of those Oscars awards, won't they? It just goes to show some people can't help themselves. Can they, Morphid?
You know, powerful women, they make people cross, and I feel blessed to play her.
Yeah, people are really scared of those strong women, aren't they? I needed therapy because people ran at me pretty fast for a bit. I kept looking frightened on screen. That's how strong I am.
There was a huge rift between Prince Durin and the king, and of course Disa is sent to fix the whole damn thing. IGN
also try and run interference for, Galadriel being evil, basically. She literally turned Sauron evil and then followed through on his evil plan without telling everybody. And the interviewer's like, it's not her fault. She's just a misunderstood wench.
In season 1, Galadriel is running around warning danger's coming, and no one listened to her, so when she had another secret, she didn't go to them with this secret. And then, now, we're looking at this trailer for season 2, and everybody seems mad at her all over again. What's up with that? What's the deal?
I know. I think she does get a tougher time.
I mean, she only dragged evil, kicking and screaming, back to her homeland. And then upon finding out the plan of Satan, she decided to just enact it herself. She gets a very tough time, you see, though. You can't blame her for doing that. She's not responsible for her own choices. Don't be stupid.
Powerful women, they make people cross.
And just to truly put in the final nail in the coffin at Lord of the Rings, he's like, this isn't about good and evil. No, we're all light and dark, gritty and darkness. We all struggle with morality, don't we?
We are all gritty. I do like seeing people struggle with concepts, with ideas, with morals, with values.
Is this a Lord of the Rings franchise or The Boys? Please, you're gonna have to let me know.
We do it because we love this world, we love Middle Earth, and we are so excited to share with you today. It is a psychological drama, descent into madness and gaslighting.
You're pure evil.
And you're just another man taking credit for a woman's work.
Girls do get it done.
But we do find out some information about the future of the show. There's apparently going to be lots of battles in it. Celeborn will appear at some point during one of the series.
Celeborn will be back, don't worry.
And by the end of season 2, we'll find out who on earth the stranger is. My personal bet is that he's Dave from Birmingham, so we can live in hope for that. And speaking of the strong and independent, Celebrimbor has now got a little apprentice to help him make the rings. She probably knows what an alloy is. Yeah, she's going to be his protege, and will probably be the person that doesn't trust Anatar or Sauron. She'll be warning Celebrimbor that there's something off with these rings. You don't know what you're doing. You need to stop being tempted by power. Although that's not even my favorite part about her story. My favorite part is that they called her Merdania, which apparently translates to jeweler. I'm not joking. They literally made a character in the show who's a jeweler, and they just called her jeweler. Who says creativity is dead? And obviously they confirm some of the other characters. For instance, the Balrog is definitely going to appear in this series.
The Balrog is here. Was I allowed to say that?
And I know he's already in the trailer.
might lead to an even greater catastrophe.
But he was also in the trailer for season 1 and not much happened there, so the confirmation, this would explain why we have warrior Deezer. I especially like the part in the trailer where her husband is standing behind her.
Fight with me.
At least he knows his place. About Bombadil.
Seeing him spar with Tom Bombadil is going to be pretty exciting.
And sing with Tom Bombadil.
Oh, well, I mean, a little singing with Tom Bombadil, who wouldn't?
Although my favourite thing about him is clearly his accent.
Every soul in Middle-earth is in peril.
This led to him having a Cornish accent, the building blocks of the character.
I ain't got a brand new combine harvester, and I'll give you the key.
Giving Bombadil a Cornish accent it's gonna make me wet myself every time he's on screen.
Will you abandon them to their doom?
And will you marry me?
Cold as a quilkin.
Cold as a quilkin.
Oh, he's got to talk like this, he is.
Which is Cornish for a frog.
Oh, I'm Tom Bombadil. I'm from Cornwall, I am.
You're covered in mud and muck.
Oh, we've been for a good old stag.
Oh, good old stag we are. Good old stag. I've been off up at the top of the tree, I have. I think it's the funniest decision they could possibly have made.
Oh, you wore brand new gaiters and me cordy right pants.
That alone wins me over for season 2. I'm telling you, I can't help it. It's too farcical to not love.
Who'd have thought a ring could have so much power?
You should name a show after it.
But after the disaster that was the first one, obviously Amazon needs everything they can, which is probably why they are kind of relying on the thirst trap villain. As they obviously can't get the demographics of people that have taste, they've decided to target the ones that don't. And in this, they actually get multiple versions of Sauron. I mean, obviously we get the Charlie Vickers version, who strangely knew he wasn't going to be fired, even though he could change his face.
I had full faith that I was never, ever going to be recast by these guys.
But there is also a different actor who will presumably be playing parts of Anatar, and we get to see him as an inhuman thing.
Prepare yourselves.
Which is obviously just the thing from the first trailer. Now, maybe it's just me, but I don't think the cat ladies will mind. I think you will get Black Goo Galadriel fan fiction out before the end of the series. That's my bet.
Sorry, I'm sad and lonely.
I mean, he can control his form. He can get into every crevice. He can outgoo the goo. Get it wrapped up with the worm goo from Willow, and I think we're onto a winner all around. Why exactly are so many smoke shows showing up as villains, particularly in fantasy and sci-fi? Well, if we're being generous, there might be specific plot reasons that casting directors are turning to enticing men in particular for these roles. Maybe it's just that the casting directors like them as well. One could argue the casting couch never went away in these overwhelmingly heteronormative stories.
The power dynamic of the world is this: the peasants, the rich, the elites, the deep state, women with big titties.
Stay crisp and juicy.
Which has to be normal, otherwise humans stop existing. Creators explore the eternal question of why exactly women are attracted to scumbags.
Throbbing.
It's a dumb cliche, but it exists for a reason.
Oh, that is a wonderful answer, Charlie. I love it so very much.
Because it's true, like all cliches and stereotypes. Hellbrand and Galadriel definitely vibe. I hate Zoomer Media. Even if they don't develop full-blown romantic feelings for one another. No, just because she didn't get with literal Satan himself doesn't mean she didn't feel anything. Especially as it's going to continue in season 2. The creators have described their connection. It's particularly devastating for Galadriel. This is very similar to It Was Agatha All Along. And so, Rings of Power can push the boundaries of hotness on screen. Sometimes, I think the directors are trolling us. I definitely do in Rings of Power.
There's rings.
There's rings in this? Are there rings? Yes, there's rings. We know this.
Whatever the thought process behind recruiting ridiculously good-looking men for these roles, the practice allows the type of actor usually relegated to playing the goody two-shows plenty of range. After all, it's way more fun to play the villain than the hero. And it's that angle which Rings of Power Season 2 seems to be going for, because this season is going to be all about Sauron. He's going to be the main character, him and Celebrimbor. It's their stories that we will be following in this season. And so if you're not sure that your script can really hook people in, and you're after that Amazon fabled demographic of the femme that watches fantasy, all 5 of them, then you're going to hope that you can pull in that ever-growing demographic, cats and SSRIs. And for that, you need the villain to be evil and thirsty. No, sorry, they're the ones that are thirsty.
Sorry.
Well, then again, we did discover Hellbrand in the ocean. Thirst everywhere, and not a drop to drink. Personally, I don't think this is a tactic which is going to bear the fruit that they think it is. I think it's going to end up much like The Acolyte, where there's loads of articles, but none of the audience are actually paying attention. Because Lord of the Rings, it had a different focus. It had a different demographic that liked it, and an altogether deeper plot line than just, oh my god, wasn't he hot? But I am interested in the angle that they're going for in this season. I like the idea of gaslighting, using Machiavellian maneuvering. If I had confidence in the creators, that's a story I could get behind. But I have had the unfortunate privilege of watching season 1. I remember all those lines that they thought were so clever and deep.
Do you know why a ship floats and a stone cannot?
And I just don't trust the people that wrote that to write any kind of Machiavellian maneuvering or psychological thriller. Oh yeah, and of course, there is one more downside.
And you're just another man taking credit for a woman's work.
The people that think that is something worth doing, something worth virtue signaling over, rather than getting the best people, then I'm still going to know that your priorities are in the wrong place. You also work for Amazon, who has codified all of these priorities being in the wrong place. And so, while I do appreciate that their marketing has definitely toned that down, I only found 3 instances where people slipped up. This isn't a case of the ideology is bad when people find out about it. It's not that it turns off the audience when they know. It's that these ideas actively destroy the product that you're making. That it is fundamentally impossible to make a good product from true believers of these ideas. And so you can hide it superficially all of you want, but as long as it motivates your hiring practices and your internal company procedures, you are doomed to fail. And in season 2, I think we're about to see that backed up. But those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.